Hi guys, hi ladies, welcome to my channel. Are you a person living with HIV? Maybe you have been diagnosed for one day, for 1 week, for 1 year, for 10 years, 20 or even 30 years. 30 years. Are you or a person you know struggling to accept the HIV diagnosis? Today, I'm going to share with you my story. I am one of the oldest people born with HIV, and I am a mom of 2 boys. Stick till the end of this video. I will share with you the wisdom I learned from living with HIV all my life. This is how I found out I was living with HIV. I showed up like everybody. When I was born, family members were out of joy, shouted to Yeshime. And that was my first name. My name is Tuyishime Clea Gasamajera. And nobody knew me and my mom were living with HIV. One of my grandma, who owned many cows, always complained that I looked underweight and malnourished because they were giving me processed milk instead of giving me raw milk, milked right from the cow. I looked really underdeveloped. Yet my parents had good jobs. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a director in the Ministry of Agriculture. And 1 year later, my mom had another baby, my sister, and we both started being really sick. In 1988, we both diagnosed with HIV, my mom and I. My mom died the same year from AIDS-related complication. I was young. I was only 5 years old. Me and my sister, we stayed with my dad. My dad was then a widow and a single man, so he hired many housemates. And I was always sick, and the housemates were mean to me. I remember they used to give me names like Agahukabi, which means bad skin, because my skin had always rashes. And they would call me Magorgwa, which means miserable, because I had a disease after disease. If it was a pneumonia, tomorrow would be something else. Every time I had something new on my body. I hated them. Then I overheard them saying that HIV and AIDS is for married people who become unfaithful, men who are coureurs de jupons, which means men who run behind skirts, and girls who do sex work. Of course, I was none of the above, so HIV and AIDS was not a concern to me. I kept being sick, and one day I heard my dad telling his family members that he's always scared I may die in my sleep, in my bed alone. And anytime the housemates would say I look like a pen called the Bic. For some of you, you know, the pen Bic has a bigger top and a very small body. So the housemate believed that whenever I'm in bed, coughing. I was looking like a big pen. And at the same time, my father was worried that I would die in bed when he's out working. I looked at myself because I felt alive. I felt I was not dying. I didn't understand because I thought all kids of the world, they are sick. I didn't have any other example. My sister was healthy, but I thought it was normal to be sick all the time. And my dad really resisted to take me to school. And finally I went to school and I met mean kids again. The kids would be singing the child of Sida. Hey, hey, umwana wa Sida. Hey, hey. I would be like, what? Sida means AIDS. I'm not a prostitute. I'm not married. I'm not a man who run after skirt. What are they saying? And my young sister was enraged. She started fighting. She will fight. Her anger was beyond measure. That time my dad was the mayor of the city where we lived in. You can imagine when the school decided to call the mayor, who is the parent, to deal with the child anger. My dad came to school, and then we were in the principal office, and all of a sudden my sister burst in tears and said, Dad, I will beat them over and over and over. They call my sister Sida. Claire is not a prostitute. After that event, my dad said they were lying, I don't have AIDS, and I trusted what my dad was telling me. Few years later, we had a genocide. My family, we got refuge in the United Nations camp in Eto, Kichukiro. I am the luckiest person among the 4,000 refugees. I'm one of the few who survived there. I saw big, strong men dying by my side. I led with dead bodies. I saw beheading and rape and all kind of atrocity. My child innocence was hit hard. After the genocide, we had lost my sister. My sister was rescued by soldiers in the dead body, and she ended up at the front war as a child soldier, and eventually she was handed over to an orphanage, and from an orphanage she was adopted by a family who knew a family friend. So all that time we thought she died. And the people would come to my dad and say, Kasamagera, God is testing you beyond measure. How come God decided that the dying kid stay alive and the healthy kid die during the genocide? Of course, I couldn't understand why they're saying that again. And I went to high school. I went to schools of Catholic sisters. By the time I was in high school, my dad was put on house arrest. He was mistreated. He was tortured. He was denied the right to get medication, the right to get lawyers, and eventually he died. And the same year he died, I was in school and I immediately had skin rashes over my body. And the sister, I was in boarding school. The sisters, decided to quarantine me and requested my pediatrician to give me an HIV test. That time I was living with my stepmother, and so when they were about to give me my test result, I found my stepmom crying inconsolably. And I asked who else died, because I was used to hear people dying. My dad had died, neighbors were dying, family members were dying. I thought somebody died. And my stepmother said, it's beyond dying. The news is not good. So they explained to me I had a bug in my blood, which is making me weaker and eventually will kill me. And I had to to take care of myself, to be positive, to be hopeful, so I can live longer. At that time, there was no medication for children and even for developing countries. That's how I found out that I was living with HIV. That time, I was a young girl. I didn't have breast. I didn't care. I couldn't process the information. Then, when I was in the second high school, senior 4 or the 10th grade, I started loving boys. I went to school where it was only girls, exclusively girls. It was so good to see boys. There was a neighbor school where there were only boys. The only time we saw the boys were on Sunday during the mass. I loved the boys in their crisp uniform, tall. Some were helping the priest during the mass. Others were in choir. They were sitting in. Whoo-wee! I loved those boys. And it immediately hit me that I couldn't love those boys because I was living with HIV. And that's when I started feeling the burden of having HIV. It occurred to me that I cannot even have children. I talked to my doctor, and my doctor told me, Claire, the minute you have sex, you will die. Be careful. Sex for people living with HIV kill them. I was super scared to even think about sex or anything. But I kept in my mind a hope that one day I will have children. The reason why I'm saying this is, as you see, I survived. I did not die when I was in the 10th grade. I even graduated from high school. I was among the best students in the whole nation. Yeah, my name was all over, broadcasted all over. I was so proud. And that time my stepmother had died of AIDS. I was the child head of household. The neighbors put together money and bought me everything I needed to go to pursue my study overseas. At the last minute, the Ministry of Education revoked my scholarship. I was supposed to go to Morocco, at Casablanca. It's in North Africa. I did not hear from them why they did revoke, except one staff who said it's a waste of resources to pay for a teenager dying of AIDS. I was heartbroken. I went wild and cried and protested, saying that as long as I still breathe, They should treat me as a living person. And that's how I become an activist, an accidental activist. And the Ministry of Education gave me a scholarship, a national scholarship. I went to the College of Science and Technology. When I got to college, I was a star. Everybody knew that kid with AIDS because they saw me protesting, you know, and I was giving speeches about living with HIV at the campus. And the head of the university, Professor Silas Rwakabamba, gave me all privileges. I was a leader. I was welcome to board meetings and I was given a room on campus, even if my house was 15 minutes away. I was allowed to go to eat in the staff cafeteria. So I had an office with a printer, with a computer, with everything. Oh my God. I was going to conferences, to meetings. That's how I became an activist. So here I am. What was supposed to kill me, what the stigma that was supposed to push me down, always moved me forward. Today, I have a long journey that took me to motherhood. I never imagined that I would be a mom, let alone be a mother in the United States of America. Life took turns, brought me all over the world and all over the place. My activism made me travel all over the world. I met important people. Once I sat on a panel with Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton, and I met Bishop Desmond Tutu. Oh my God. And here I am. I'm telling you that you too, you can make it. The secret, all my life, I refuse to be at the menu. I always want to be at the table. If you are a person living with HIV and you were worried about your HIV, you're worried about that you will survive, I'm a living testimony that you will make it. These are 3 lessons I learned. Lesson number 1, positive thinking. Change things you think. The thing you think will change. Your life will change. Our lives are created in our mind. All the worries you have, all the disease you are scared of, the people who discriminate you, all these things, if you change the way you think at it will change. You need to understand that people have a right to opinion. Is it fair? No. But I'm calling you to focus on yourself. Change the way you think. Just be positive. It's not fair to be pessimist because there's so many things in this life that can change over sudden. The second lesson is self-reliance. I'm not blaming anybody to give me HIV. I never blame anybody for my life. I am 100% responsible for every day result of what happened in my life. So instead of carrying anger about someone who gave you HIV, someone who made your life miserable, just remember you are on your own. Matter of fact, when you were born, you were alone. Even if you were born with a twin, but guess what? You were alone. And then even when you go, you'll be alone. Nobody will die next to you to accompany you. So understanding that in this life, You are responsible. Take responsibility taking your medication. Take responsibility to see a doctor. Take responsibility to find people who can help you. Find support groups. And join YouTube channel like this one where you will learn how other people have been able to manage the living with HIV. The third lesson I have learned is to be thankful. Oh my God. Be thankful that even you are breathing. Be thankful that you are able to listen, to see, to if you are thankful, your life will be you will change. Thank you so much, and I hope you keep watching this channel. This channel was created to help young women develop confidence on their journey to motherhood. Bye bye. I hope you watch following other video on this channel. Thank you. Bye.